This time, I will show you our Place on Grid command. This makes it very easy to place components on a grid and thus position them accordingly. To show you this function, I have prepared a simple example with two rooms. One room is rectangular on the axis, and the second room is slightly diagonal from this room. An ideal example to demonstrate this command is the placement of air outlets. I first want to place 6 air outlets in the rectangular room within a given ceiling grid. To do this, I switch to a ceiling plan in which the ceiling grid is already displayed. In the area of the libraries, you can then set the placement mode. Besides the single placement and the replace modes, you will also find the Place on Grid mode here. After this has been activated, select a component to be placed. In this case, I will take an outflowing air outlet for supply air with lateral connection. I then specify 3 points to define a rectangle in which to place. I use the ceiling grid and determine the corresponding area. Now the dialog Place on Grid opens. In this case, I want to use a fixed grid, namely the ceiling grid, for example of a suspended ceiling. Additionally, I can define edge distance to get closer to the center of the room. To define the number of outlets, I set columns as well as rows. We want 6 outlets in 3 columns and 2 rows. By clicking OK, the outlets are placed as desired. Since we can only define one connection direction, we still have to rotate the top 3 outlets. There is a time-saving function in the linear control board for this as well. I select all 3 outlets and use the rotate command of linear. Now all selected parts are rotated around their insertion point at the same time. Let's have a look at this in 3D. Second, I will show the positioning without a fixed grid in the other room. You have the possibility to execute this command with the components from the linear libraries as well as with manufacturer components from the Linear CAD browser. Also, you can use all other families you have created on your own or downloaded from another library. This can be all kinds of objects, for example lamps, floor tanks, or whatever. As long as the family is already in the project, it can be used. To illustrate this, I've already loaded an air outlet from Wildeburn into the project. With the help of the pipette tool, I can now select this component and use it in the Place on Grid command. I select 3 corner points again and the familiar dialog opens. This time, I deactivate Use Fixed Grid and define only the side distances to 1 meter, as well as again the desired number of outlets by determining the columns and rows. The positioning is based on the desired wall, and also in this slanted space, the outlets are placed as desired. Let's have another look at the results in 3D. That looks very good, quickly and easily implemented with Linear's Place on Grid command.